Hey, what's up, guys? It's Apollo Uchiha here, back with a new one shot. I know I put a message in my community tab that today isn't going to be any video. The thing is, I was going to upload three videos today, and after completely editing them and rendering them, finishing the final product thing, and I was going to upload them, but I misclicked and it suddenly deleted. To the three of the videos altogether that I have selected, and I was kind of mad and I thought, nah, man, I'm not going to post anything. Then, as I was scrolling, I came up with an idea and thought, why not upload a one shot? So here it is. What if Naruto was an evil mastermind? I hope you like this one, and if you do, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And without further ado, let's begin our story. In the deepest regions of the mountain country, on the fringes of elemental nations, one Uzumaki Kushina, now in her early 50s, sat in a chair in a small hut of a home and turned her head to the door. Even after all these years, she could always sense when a shinobi was near, and today was no exception despite not training very much after the losses she suffered when the QB came. She knew what Minato did take their son to be used as the vessel of QB and asking that the boy be seen as a hero. After the sealing was done, the pain of what had happened after was too much, and all because of the fox seal inside of her son. Kushina had at that point could no longer call Naruto her son, as she felt that such a thing was beyond her, and abandoned the boy to be hated by the village, while trusting the old Sandem Hokage along with the two godparents to pick the slack. After all, Jiraiya was Minato's sensei, and Tsunade had delivered the boy before being used as the vessel of Kyuubi. Like back then, Kushina realized that she had been a fool now for not going back to check on Naruto and make up for her neglect of him. However, her cowardice, along with the belief that the boy no longer her son, had kept the woman from doing so, and it had for so long eaten Kushina up inside. Not that it makes any difference though now, thought Kushina as she sensed a powerful chakra signature coming towards her tiny hut and saw the figure behind the door open it to show a tall figure in adult form staring back at her with glowing red eyes. So this is where have you been hiding for nearly 20 years of your pathetic excuse of life, my so-called mother? Said the figure walking into the room, wearing combat black boots, black pants with crimson tails around it, and was wearing only a crimson trench coat. His hair was a blend of crimson red and sunny blonde yellow. I was wondering when you would come find me. How long have you known that I was alive, Naruto? Said Kushina as she saw him walk over to the chair across from her and looked at her with eyes of a man who has experienced so much in his life. Not long. I'm quite the hero back in the village. It took a while, but they finally accepted me, and even I, after all these years, became Hokage after killing of the Akatsuki. To tell you the truth, along with the Bakas responsible for summoning the QB to attack Konoha in the first place, said Naruto as he smiled with his fangs showing and his whisker marks see clear to see even with her poor eyesight. That's good to hear. I'm so glad the people of Leaf were there for you, said Kushina as she smiled at him, but then it left her face when she saw Naruto's leave his and glared with intense killer intent. Baka, I lied. They were never there for me. No more than you were when I thought growing up. You want to know truth about my life? I'll tell you. I was attacked as a child until I was 8 years old. Constantly attacked, mind you, by the arrogant Bakas in the village. And they tried to force me into submission so I would be their little pet. I don't like being anyone's pet, and neither did QB. My so-called godparents left me to my own devices because, like you, they blamed me for the death of my father and felt I should suffer for it until they felt it was time to raise me later on. The only one who was ever there for me when I needed someone the most was the QB himself, and the fox taught me a great deal of many things before I fully absorbed him into my body, said Naruto as he saw Kushina stiffen and her eyes looked at him with fright. You entrusted yourself to the demon fox over that of the people in the village that your father died for? Said Kushina as she saw her son chuckle and then pull something out of his trench coat before throwing it on the table. It was Tsunade's necklace. You expect me to lay down like a whimper dog for the people that hate me for something that wasn't my fault? I should be beaten up, eat little to no food, and what food I do eat is rotten to the point it would make a weaker person vomit? Your mind has clearly become lost long with your youth. I endured hell on earth to get what I needed from those who betrayed me and my father. They thought that they had me their under their thumb. After all, it was over. Thinking my spirit was finally broken to the point where I would do whatever it was they asked of me because I had no one else in the world to guide me. The sun then felt my wrath first from the shadows, as I gave Orochimaru a means, motive, and the opportunity to attack the leaf during the Chunin exam when I was 12 years old, said Naruto, who saw Kushina look at him, appalled by his confession, and loved the look of fear on her face. You didn't, said Kushina, who saw Naruto shrug, and then pulled out the Santem's old war helmet before throwing it on the table. He thought I would become indebted to him after being saved at the last minute repeatedly by his Anbu, despite the fact it was the same Anbu who neglected their duties to protect me. By that point, the folks had decided and made a contact with me, and felt the leaf had to suffer for not honoring the Yondam's dying wish. So we set things into motion to make it happen by sending secret messages to Orochimaru after we killed one of his spies, after torching them for info on where the Sanin was located. As far as the man was aware of, the info he got to prepare for the invasion came from a loyal spy, and not just a kid with an even bigger crush than an egotistical baka like him, said Naruto as he drew the sword of the Sanin Kusanagi out, and then stabbed it on the floor next to the chair. How could you? You're no better than the demon that was sealed inside of you, said Kushina as she saw Naruto scowl at her, let out a demonic growl from his throat. Coming from the woman who abandoned me, that sounds hypocritical, and you should keep your mouth shut about it if you know what's good for you, you dumb old bitch, said Naruto as he drew out Jiraiya's helmet onto the table and saw Kushina look at the helmet with sad expression. You know nothing of what I suffered, said Kushina bitterly. But you suffered? How about I suffered? I suffered physically, emotionally, and mentally for your foolish actions. But we're getting off track here, as I have to tell you how I killed Father Sensei and used his own sealing against him, said Naruto as he grinned devilishly at Kushina, and the woman shook her head. Shut up! I won't hear of it, said Kushina as she got up to move out of her chair, but found herself unable to move, and saw her body was unable to do anything as crimson chakra wrapped around her four limbs. You can and you will before I decide when to have you all meet in hell with the rest of Baka in the leaf I butchered after I became its Hokage, said Naruto as he saw the woman look at him in shock and then anger at his. You're lying. No way they would make you Hokage, no matter how strong you become, knowing that you would possibly get revenge and attack them, said Kushina as she saw Naruto let out another chuckle and then full-blown laughter. Really? My dear mother, how stupid can you be? Doesn't matter, the point is they did. And they didn't have a choice. But we're getting ahead of ourselves here again. Where was I? Oh yes. I remember now. Jiraiya of the Sanin and the seals. Funny thing about seals is that when done the right way by a master, it can make things really painful on those they were used upon. As such, I made a seal in a training ground in the leaf that was attuned to Jiraiya's chakra signature and had it wrap around him like a snake. I watched him cry out in pain, asking me why I did this to him. And do you know what I said in my reply? Said Naruto as he saw Kushina shake her head and then shut her eyes before shaking it harder. I don't want to. No, stop it, said Kushina before Naruto checked out some more and knew that she needed to hear this. My response to him was, because I am a demon like I know you believe me to be, and only demon would do this to a filthy old pervert man like you. Which of course made him turn a shade of red. I didn't think it was possible outside of my wife Hinata-chan, and began cursing me for all things the fox did in terms of taking Minato away while saying I was him. Jiraiya told me the only reason he decided to train me was because he thought the village had broken my spirit while growing up, to the point where my only purpose was to defend it and act like I was some kind of weapon to his use and to fulfill their purposes. The last thing he saw was me laughing at him and calling him an arrogant baka, just like all the fools I was going to kill soon after I achieved my goals, said Kushina as he saw Kushina cringe and look away from him with her eyes closed. Monster, said Kushina, but was soon forced to look at him with a tendril of demonic chakra wrapped around her neck to turn her head to him, and then two smaller ones went to her eyes to snap them open, so she would have no choice in terms of staring at him again. You are being hypocritical, and it's annoying. As for Tsunade, I found her to be the most challenging to kill within the leaf due to her medical skills and being a part of the Senju clan. So I played on one of her vices, as one of them just so happened to be drinking sake, and at any given time, her assistant Shizune, whom she trusted without question, was put under genjutsu of my own design and had the woman poison the sake with an odorless one that only a medic of Shizune, if not Tsunade herself, could make. It attacks the body internal organs without the person knowing until it is too late, targets the major organs the body needs to live when the blood works was done. The poison showed up amongst the test results and found it mixed with the sake that Shizune admitted to give Tsunade. The woman was soon executed after that, but not before I came to visit and told her it was me responsible for doing that to the Sanin. I hit a pressure point on her throat to keep her silenced until the head was off of her body. A clean sweep execution for her, said Naruto while smiling at his applauded mother. Why did you do that when you knew Shizune was innocent in all of this? Said Kushina as she saw her son chuckle again, and those fangs of his were once more making her feel on edge. Innocent? She was never innocent. She was like her teacher, Shizune didn't care about me. I found Tsunade standing orders as the Hokage that she gave to Shizune about me, and it stated that any signs of showing demonic bloodlust was to be reported immediately to her in the events that the demon is me in me was getting too strong before a special poison was prepared to put me down like I was a rabid dog, said Naruto as he saw Kushina look at him in shock and saw his eyes glowing crimson at this point. You can't blame her for following orders, said Kushina before her son growled angrily. Of course I can. People blame me for the fox even though I was just the prison. So it only fair I blame Shizune for following the Senju bitch so blindly without question. As for people of Konoha, well, they didn't want me to be Hokage, but the thing was, they didn't have any other choice against me. And I was, at the time of Tsunade's death, considered the most powerful within the village. The councils knew this, and the clan heads as well, but none of them wanted to give me the title of Hokage. And yet, after much debate, in secret, they did, said Naruto like it was as simple as that. They always thought they could control you politically and by other means, said Kushina, seeing her son nod in agreement. Yes, I was surprised too at first, but then I remembered that among them was a man named Danzo, and truth to be told, I was always suspicious of him since the first day I saw him. So, I did so little digging up to know my most influential enemy on the councils. It took a while, considering the root shinobi under his command had seal on their tongues to silence them, but after a little trial and quite a few errors, I got them to squeal like pigs. I learned all about his Sharingan eyes, his arms that holds the Senju bloodline, and the fact he was going to use them on me in terms of influencing me when I was given the title of Hokage, said Naruto, seeing Kushina looked shocked at the news. And you killed him before he even got a chance, said Kushina in a matter-of-fact tone that Naruto nodded to. Well, that's not entirely true. You see, I made it entirely after I became Hokage, which by that point I knew he would use his power to control me. But the thing is about the seal on my stomach was that even after I absorbed the QB power, it had an additional side effect, and no one saw that coming, not even me. Personally, I just planned to blow them all up with explosive tags and placed secretly under their chairs before my first meeting with all of them and take over completely before he had a chance to use it. However, the man met me outside the meeting room and tried to use it then, with the others waiting inside the room to see the end results of Danzo's action to force me into submission, said Naruto, as he remembered the man's shocked face, and even more so when the Namikaze ripped out his sword before entering the meeting room with it. The Shinigami seal Minato made protects you against the Sharingan and the Senju clan's own powers, said Kushina in shock. Correct? Father didn't want outside forces doing that to me while growing up, so he put that in the seal's design just to be safe. So after I showed them Danzo's bleeding heart, I gave them my thanks for electing me Hokage despite it being for their own selfish and greedy reasons that were to manipulate me for my power. The Shinobi Council tried to call in the Anbu to kill me but unleashed a wave of crimson chakra that sliced their heads clean off their bodies, and then I went on to kill the rest of the council alongside with the clan heads, said Naruto as he saw Kushina's eyes widen and looked ready to once more try to escape. Bastard, said Kushina as she was friends with all of the clan heads and her son had wiped them out. You wouldn't know that. Wouldn't you, Mom? After all, you were the bitch who spread her legs for the Yondam and had me in the aftermath for your union. You who abandoned me to a village that hated my guts and took the coward's way out rather than being a true mother by raising me properly. I may be a monster, my mother, but you are the one who gave me life, and that makes you an even greater monster, said Naruto before letting out a wicked laugh that echoed throughout the entire room. The villagers wouldn't stand for your actions. The heirs of the clans' heads would kill you for what you did to their parents, said Kushina while ignoring her son's cruel laughter. Some of them did. I ended their sorrows by having them reunited with their family in the afterlife. Not all the years were sad though, as they didn't take to their parents' hate and supported me in the end. They proved it further by helping me butcher all those poor arrogant bakas in the village that always attacked me when I was a kid. The villagers and shinobi they killed called them traitors, demon lovers, and other things. However, in the end, all such words they cried out before meeting their end were empty by this point. And it was so much fun to see so many of those fools killed with each other, and each killed in such a painful manner as well was so fulfilling. Let me tell you that, said Naruto, seeing his mother wanted to puke at his words. You betrayed everything Minato believed in. You betrayed the spirit of the Namikaze clan, said Kushina before crying out in pain when the demonic chakra, which Naruto commanded up to this point just to restrain her, had suddenly tore into her body and made the woman feel like she was being set on fire from the inside out. How many times do I have to tell you to stop being such a hypocritical bitch? You talked to me betraying the league, betraying my father, Jiraiya, Tsunade, then Sandem, and all those other bakas in the village that were the betrayers. I gave them exactly what they deserved. Why should I suffer for something that isn't my fault? Why should I be beaten and cut up by others when I don't do anything wrong aside from being born? Something you had a hand in, I might add, mother. You think I was given to just give in to a bunch of bakas and do their bidding after taking all that crap? You talk to me like I shouldn't have sucked it up and protected them regardless of what they did to me in order to prove them wrong about what I was. Wake up! They were never going to accept me as a person so long as they were alive. Danzo even said it himself one day while I was spying on them, all in the vents of the Hokage Tower during a meeting he and the others had with Tsunade. As long as he, the Shinobi Council, Civilian Council, the clan heads, the current Hokage had the majority of the people in the leaf were breathing, they were never going to accept me as a person. Never, said Naruto as he got up from his chair and picked up the Kusanagi by the hilt. Naruto, I know what happened to you was bad, but if your father were here, he would... Ah! said Kushina as she screamed out again, but this time due to the sword in Naruto's hand stabbing her in the gut. You want to know what my father said? Another funny thing about the seal is that it actually held a portion of their soul in it and tried to talk me out of going on a vengeful killing spree. You know what I did? I created the Rasengan he created and threw it in at his goddamned head, causing it to explode while telling him to just shut the fuck up. I don't need advice from people who don't give a flying fuck about me and understand the shit I went through after growing up. After I became Hokage, cleaned house in both the governing body and the village populace, I went after the other organizations, such as the Akatsuki, whose main reason was to capture the Bijus with my kin. They were quite surprised to see us all unite against them and use our unique talents against the ones that were not assigned to capture, said Naruto as he removed the sword from Kushina's stomach and aimed it at her neck. And now you rule unopposed, with the other villages falling in line under your rule because each one is ruled by your kin, said Kushina as she put the final piece of the puzzle together and saw her son smirk at her. And the last horse crosses the finish line. Yes, mother. That is what has happened. Killer Bee is the Raikage of Komo, Sabuko Nagara is the Kazekage of Suna, and so on and forth. It is with us demons that now rule over the elemental countries, said Naruto as he prepared to swing the blade and take his mother's head off clean. I suppose this was inevitable then, said Kushina as she had been waiting for this day to happen for over a decade now. And now here it had come at last, with her son ready to kill her with his own hands. Not really. Had you just been a loving mother to me, then things would have taken most likely been a different turn, and so would your lifespan. Though, for the record, if you must know, you are currently the grandmother of the Namikaze Yuga child, And funny thing is, we named him QB, said Naruto before he took Kushina's head clean off with the Kusanagi before walking out of the room after throwing a demonically charged kunai with an explosive tag on it and the table. If anyone ever did come to this area where Kushina Uzumaki once lived, all they would find is a crater filled with nothingness. And it was all thanks to her own son, Naruto. After all, it was inevitable in his thought. As this is where I'm going to be leaving this one short off, guys. I hope you like this one, and if you do, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. This is Apollo Uchiha, and I'm signing out. Peace.